Heyo, and welcome to a Filthy Casuals guide to a Poison Flurry Rogue in Diablo 4 Season 1. If you like to keep your hands busy and love to impress your friends by clearing content way above your actual level, this is definitely the build for you, as you're going to be pushing lots of buttons and moving around fast while simultaneously impressing the hell out of your friends that you're constantly carrying. As you can see here, I'm destroying level 90 content at level 75. You may not know it right now, but all your friends are really impressed with me. So let's go over the aspects here. The modifiers on all the gear are not best in slot. I have had absolute shit luck with my drops this season, but that's okay. I did get these really nice pants, but I'm still waiting on the aspect for them. And speaking of the aspects, you're going to be doing disobedience on your helmet. A lot of people are doing disobedience on the amulet for a little bit extra. I don't feel that the extra armor is that great. It didn't make me feel more tanky at all. I think it's perfectly fine here, and getting a max roll of 30% is fine. We use the encircling blades, our actual flurry aspect, on our necklace, because that will give us a nice little boost to our base flurry damage. On our chest piece, we're going the aspect of might to just get us a flat 20% damage reduction all the time. You don't need to have a 6-second or a 4-second roll on this. You can take it right from your codex and put it on there and have the worst roll on it, and it'll still be fine, because you're going to be attacking so fast, and your rotation between your combo points is so quick. Every 2 seconds, you're definitely going to be using a basic skill, which is puncture in this case. So that's pretty much just mandatory, because that base 20% damage reduction is insane, considering I already have about over 50% damage reduction from close enemies. So that means I've got 70% damage reduction from close enemies, which is really, really big. For the gloves, you've got a couple of different options here. If you want to stagger bosses and be able to pretty much stun lock individual enemies, including elites, then I would definitely go with manglers. But you could also put something like accelerating aspect on there, or edge masters would be good. Imitated imbuement would be alright as well. Aspects of inner calm would be good as well. Unstable imbuments would be okay. The best option, if you don't have manglers, is going to be a vengeful aspect to get you some extra critical strike chance. On the pants, you've got a couple of different options. I really like the elusive aspect, because dodging is pretty key, especially when you're playing such close quarters combat. There are other good options. The Umbra defensive is a good option, because you can pretty much keep 5 dark shrouds around you almost all the time. Eluding, you could also put eluding on your pants, because you're going to want at least 3 ways to become unstoppable. This will grant you 1. Your shadow step will grant you 1, and your shadow clone will grant you 1. But if you don't want the eluding on there, because you don't want to wait for that effect to be able to come back after 20 seconds or so, just go ahead and throw on Ravengers, because basically you'll be able to do the same thing. You'll have the same number of unstoppables within a time frame that is a slightly smaller than waiting around 20 seconds for this one. On our two-handed weapon, we're going to go ahead and put the aspect of corruption. Try and get a max roll on this. This is our biggest damage boost, and absolutely key to this build. Absolutely important to put on your... Already talked about how we got Flurry on our amulet. On your rings, one of the most necessary to manage our poison and having poison imbuement up as often as possible is the combination of the aspect of burning venoms and the aspect of pestilent points. These two together, with a high enough lucky hit chance, will get you pretty much constant pools of poison underneath you, which is exactly what you want. On your weapons, do aspects that get your core skills attack speed. Accelerating aspect is a really good one. You can also just get the rapid aspect, which will just give your basic skills a flat gain. This is good, especially if you get a max roll of 30. However, your other skills also gain the benefit of your overall attack speed if you are using this, and you're going to be critical striking enough to maintain this all the time. So with that done, let's go ahead and I'll show you the skill tree here. Oh, obviously specializations are going to be combo points. That's one of the biggest damage boosts of this setup. Obviously puncture with the aspect that we have on our ring is necessary, and go fundamental puncture. This is highly important because that is the initial way that we proc vulnerable on enemies. And we're going to obviously get Flurry, and then we're going to get improved Flurry, which is absolutely amazing. If Flurry hits any vulnerable enemy, it will make all enemies hit by that cast vulnerable. And if you have the Flurry aspect on, that's everything in a circle around you. So you're going to make one enemy vulnerable with puncture, and then you're going to make every single enemy around you vulnerable and take damage at the same time. Absolutely key combo here to maintain that vulnerable proc on the enemies. Even though they nerfed vulnerable, it is still absolutely necessary for damage output. This is a squishy build, but to help it out, we're going to go ahead and put 3 points into Sturdy and 3 points into Siphoning Strikes. Then we're going to go down here and throw 1 point into Shadow Step. We don't need to level this up anymore. It doesn't affect the cooldown, and it doesn't affect anything else. That's just basically a crowd control mitigation. That's unstoppable. That's the only reason we have this. 3 points into Weapon Mastery, and then throw 1 point into each of these nodes over here. The Rapid Gambits, the Trick Attacks, Concussive. This is going to help you with critical strikes against single targets. If you have the appropriate aspect, you are going to be able to stun lock enemies for, 10 to 15 seconds by knocking them down over and over again. Having this and multiple evades on your boots is very nice. I wouldn't put too much more. I just one into this, the half-second cooldown reduction stacks pretty quickly, where you almost always have your evade ready to go, which is absolutely necessary. Down here, we're going to go ahead and put 3 points into Agile, again for more dodge. It's very key for this squishy build that is in the middle of everything. If you get all your attacks off correctly and fast enough and have your lucky hit chance high enough, you're basically going to watch your health go down and up and down and up and down and up without having to take a potion, because you're going to be constantly getting hit by enemies but healing yourself with Siphoning Strikes. Down here, we're taking 1 into Exploit, throw points into Malice, pump this up and get you a huge increase to vulnerable enemies. You're going to pump 5 points into Shadow Imbuement, although we are going to change this later on. Once I get to about level 80, I'm switching. It's going to be best to switch from Shadow Clone and just take Poison Trap, because your last Paragon board, the only one that's really beneficial for this build setup, is the Trap one. So that's what we're going to do at that point. For now, this is the way we have it set up. 5 points into Shadow Imbuement, which is... Shadow Imbuement is your clear skill. With this in Flurry, and the explosion chain that you will do is going to clear 90% of the enemies all the time. It makes perfect sense if you think about it. And grabbing Mixed Shadow Imbuement is really good because it gives you a flat damage increase to all non-physical damage, which, guess what? Poison is considered non-physical damage. So there's a cheeky increase if you put a Shadow Imbuement on, say, a boss. There's a nice little damage increase. Go ahead and grab Deadly Venom and Debilitating Toxins. You can also substitute an amulet that's plus to Deadly Weapon instead of Malice. Either of those is good. The math, it will work out just about the same. So those are interchangeable. But Debilitating Toxins is big. This means that any enemy that is poisoned, you're going to take 15% less damage from, which, as I showed you earlier, our damage reduction is already pretty good. So adding another 15 to that is fantastic. Also, trying to get Poison Imbuement up as high as possible is very beneficial, because it does increase that percentage of base damage as additional poisoning damage. As you can see, at a level 11, it's 240 points. And if I take this off, at level 8, it's only 204. So there's a significant percentage increased damage from the base damage all the way up to the poisoning damage. So try and get your poisoning damage up as high as possible. I've gotten it up to 11 because I got real lucky. I could have it at 12, but I don't, because I only got a 3 out of 4 roll on this. But I got super lucky with my amulet and got +3 ranks to all imbuement skills, and was able to, after about 20 million gold spent, roll a +3 ranks to Malice, which is very ideal. Yeah, Precision Imbuement. Go ahead and grab that. That's huge. That's just a flat 9% critical strike chance, because you're always going to have one of these 2 imbuments on. So that puts our average critical strike chance up to right around 50%, which is spectacular. For now, I'm using Shadow Clone just for the Unstoppable and the close to double damage boost that it gives you. I think it works rather well with the way this build is set up. Then grab all 3 ranks of Innervation. Since we're already stacking lucky hit chance, we're going to benefit the most from all of these, all 3 points into this. This is going to be our main way to maintain our essence. Our resource should almost always be full. Sometimes during boss fights you can be attacking so quickly that you need to pay attention to it and kind of use puncture a little bit more, even more than the 3 that you need for the combo points, just to get it back up. But for the way this is set up right now, just throw 3 points in that, and then 3 points into Alchemist's Fortune as well. That gives all of our imbuement skills a 15% increased lucky hit chance, which is big. Very, very big for us. And obviously we're going close quarters combat here because we're constantly switching back and forth between a marksman and a cutthroat skill. So we will constantly have 20% increased attack speed and 30% increased damage against crowd-controlled enemies, which is absolutely huge. On the Paragon board, there's really not much to show yet. I started out with Closer, then I came up to Eldritch Bounty. Didn't really pick anything else up in here, just skimming right along to the next one. I did grab the imbued skill damage right here. On this one, on Tricks of the Trade, which is, again, frigging amazing damage increase because we're constantly going back and forth between marksman and cutthroat skills, we basically get a flat 25% damage increase. It's huge, absolutely necessary. I also grabbed Brawler down here. As soon as I get enough strength in there, that's going to be another 12 damage to close. Very nice. Using the Devious Glyph here, just for another 10% multiplicative damage against crowd-controlled enemies. This will be a lot better once you get like the Frost Boots. If that's something you want to throw on this build, it could work very, very well to have a constant CC on all the enemies around you. I grabbed Focus just because it's good to have, you know, dex and damage against elites. It's not necessary. If you are starved for points and need to put them somewhere else, don't worry about it. But you definitely want to come down here and grab Havoc because the critical strike chance is really, really, really good to have, as well as Vulnerable, which is what we have down here when we're grabbing Exploit Weakness. I haven't grabbed this one yet, but I did put Efficacy, which is going to be your best option for this one, because what you're going to be doing is doubling the vulnerable damage that you can get from this node here, but you need 450 strength. Not quite there yet, but we'll get there. We'll get there. And grab Exploit over here. I mean, this alone is 40% increased vulnerable damage just from these 2 nodes, and it's going to be a total of 60 when everything is said and done. Grab all the little nodes too. Percent, and there's another 30%. So I actually have about 90% vulnerable damage just on this little bit of the node so far, which is absolutely huge. Probably going to go ahead and grab this down here. We might as well get a little bit of damage reduction from that. And since we're going to be trying to get our strength up to 450 anyways, we will have the bonus from this node. So there it is. Filthy Casual Flurry build. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll probably do an update video once I get to level 100 just to show you what I've switched up. So yeah, please like and subscribe. If you like the content, share it with somebody if you think they might like it, and have yourself a quality evening.